Hey, what's up, friends? You're watching Fancy Pants Media, the show that is all about taking your marketing and media to the next level. My name is Nick, and a lot of you probably don't know this, but my 9 to 5 is it's essentially like an online campus pastor. I'm called a online platform lead is what I'm called, but I kind of go through almost the exact same roles as what an online pastor would be, and I've been doing this since 2012. Alongside another team. I used to work at onlinechurch.com. Just trying to give you some context for this, because if this seems like it's coming out of the blue, it totally isn't. Just watched a video from one of my friends, Jay Karanda, and Jay is an amazing thinker when it comes to leading the online church space. So I'm going to have a link to his video down below, and it's his response to COVID-19 in the online church. And I wanted to give something very similar because I adore everything that Jay does, but also wanted to talk you through some of the things to think about as you have transitioned online and also moving back to brick and mortar and meeting again. So the first thing, I just want to give you my honest thoughts. And those honest thoughts are, this has been incredible. And I know that sounds bad because, we are in the midst of a pandemic, and I'm not trying to downplay any of the things that are happening within our nation economically and health-wise, and just want to let you know, like, my heart is for New York and for the people who are going through this. It's really terrible, but what it has done, it has shown how vital and how creative churches can be when it comes to actually doing something new and fresh and moving on a dime. And the thing is, if you know now that it was within your power to completely transition to an online model within a matter of hours once you got the news that churches couldn't meet. And so I just say that this is a testament to the resilience and the ingenuity of church leaders. That's not always the case. A lot of times churches are very, very, very slow to move to an online model. So this just shows that if you just put a little bit of effort into it, you are going to get a great return. My second thought, first thought being that, we've done an awesome job transitioning all churches, majority of churches around the globe. My second thought is you have to give it all away. And what I mean by that is you might be a campus pastor, or you might be a creative lead. You might be somebody who's, handling this for the time being for your church. And it feels like everybody is giving you feedback. One of my friends, he kind of hit me up and he said, hey, it feels like everybody's an expert now. And my response to that is, like, I understand some of the frustrations, but at the same time, you have to have a backup plan and a succession plan to who you are. Your church's online resource should not be solely you. You should be training people. You should be giving it all away. You should be opening up the doors to everybody who's on staff to have a say and a part. Because running a successful online campus is really going to be how well your team comes together. And if it's you just on your back and you're doing everything yourself, you're not allowing for feedback or input, it's going to be a rough journey. So just my thoughts right there is, invite that feedback. And not only invite the feedback, but give it all away. I mean, that is one of the best things that you can do if you want to maintain an online model once this is all over. My third thought for you is going to be this, is that moving back to brick and mortar is going to be a lot harder than what you anticipate. And the reason is because people are going to be gun shy. If you've seen some of the CNN reports of what China is doing, they've released, people, and then they actually went back to having more restrictions. Everything was open, and then a couple of days later, it's like, hey, theaters, you need to close, and restaurants and hotels, you need to adopt a system to where you have, like, you're being tracked essentially on your phone. You either get a gold pass or a green pass, on your phone, and you can be allowed into majority of areas. But if you have a yellow pass or a red pass, you're not able to enter some facilities unless you're tested and all these other things. So my thoughts would be, what are you doing to calm the fears of your parishioners as they move back into brick and mortar? One thing I would say, and this could be a terrible idea, but it is an idea, is to take people's temperatures at the door. And I know that sounds like very intrusive, and it sounds like that probably might be a bad idea. But one thing to really think about is how are you showing that you care for your people? Even if these measures, there's not much you can do, but what are some measures you can take? Just letting people know, hey, we will take your temperature just to make sure. We also have a section that is dedicated to those who are elderly and to those who might have an autoimmune compromised, and at that point, we're just going to say, hey, this is not a space for kids. This is not a space for a lot of people to be around. We'll still maintain some social distancing. You have to think in these types of terms. How are you going to calm the fears of people as they move back into brick and mortar? They're going to be gun shy. They absolutely are. So really think about that. Is there a system that you can create that allows a few people in and out, and just really think about that experience, because people's fears need to be calmed. So that's an idea for you there. The fourth thing is when it comes to you moving things online, you might not have moved 100% of your things online, and the biggest thing that you need to think about when you do, as you have moved online, is to think about how does giving take place online. I want to give you a couple of resources that for small, medium, and large churches that you can think about immediately. PayPal and Cash App are very easy to get into if you are a small church of maybe like say 50 to 100 people, and that's something that that you want your members to take advantage of. You can do that right now on your phone, and just send out an email to your congregation and saying, hey, this is how we're going to be giving for the next couple of weeks. One thing that you can utilize if you have a bit of more budget and maybe have a larger congregation and you want to have like a stellar website, stellar app, I would suggest Subsplash.com. It's for church mobile apps. It's really easy to get into. Staff is very, very friendly and patient, and I've had great communication with them. But PushPay is one that I find is just top notch when it comes to having a robust app, giving integrated solutions. It's one of the ones that I would suggest for you if you still haven't moved your giving to online, and I think that's really important. Is now you have to just walk that line very, very carefully. You do want to have the ability to take tithes online, but at the same time you want to make sure that your messaging around that is compassionate in this time. It's really important that your employees are still getting paid from donations essentially, and so you want to be very, very careful in how you do that. One way is to take away the barrier of somebody having to write a check or drop cash off. You don't want those things. So PushPay, Subsplash.com, those two are going to be fantastic for you in order to really make sure that your tithe online is top notch. My fifth and final thing for you is, what is the future of online church look like? And Jay just kind of in that video, he let us know that he thinks that potentially people are going to be gun shy because they went into the online experience, but they didn't want to. It was forced, and I think that there is some merit to that. I think some people are going to be like, I never want to do online church again. It's just not their flavor of tea. I actually had a message from one person who works on our staff, and he sent me a message and he said, hey, I just want to let you know that I was against going online. It wasn't his thing. And then he talked about how he had an interaction online with a girl, and he talked to her through some very difficult problems that she had, and she told him it was only because there's a level of anonymity between us that I'm able to open up and receive prayer like this. And it was really cool to see that his eyes were kind of opened to that. This sometimes the level of being anonymous allows you to get some of these things out, to make confession easier. So that is a nice stepping stone for somebody who was against it and now is for it. But for the majority of people, my prediction is going to be this, is that there are going to be elements of online that are not going to go back the way that they used to be. I think people's eyes are going to be open, specifically pastors and ministry leaders, that companies like Netflix and Disney and Hulu and Apple TV, like Plus, like those things actually are seeing increases in revenue because people are subscribing because they have a lot of time. And one thing that's going to be true is that content is going to be content no matter what season of life we are in. And so you have to really think in those types of terms. And so my challenge to you is, if you think that once brick and mortar opens back up again, you're just going to shut down your online church or just keep it as an emergency situation, I would almost challenge that you have to think about communicating with your audience consistently. That you need to think about this. And this is just one fact that I will leave you with. There's 168 hours within the week. And what you're doing is you're prioritizing 1 hour a week with your congregation. I think what's more important is, if you think about the other 167 hours. What is content that you can put out there that is going to answer people's questions like, should I be getting a divorce right now because me and my spouse are not having a good time? Or how do I handle my kids because they're driving me bonkers? Or the fact that, hey, I am so lonely in COVID-19 because I don't have any friends. How can faith help me? If you can start to answer these questions, what you're going to do is you're going to see that people are going to trust you initially, because content is the first wave of search. Second, what you're going to see is because that trust is built, they're going to give you that time, that 1 hour on that Sunday morning, because you gave them your time on the 167. So I would say you have 167 hours that you're ignoring when you figure out the one. And the thing is this, these two are not mutually exclusive. You don't have to just focus on the 1 hour on Sunday morning, and you just don't have to focus on the 167. The biggest misconception I see about online is this, that online community is not the same as in-person community. And to that, I would say, you're correct, but they are not mutually exclusive. They actually lean and bleed into each other. So that's something to consider as we think about these things. As I wrap up, I would love to do this. I would love to challenge 3 online pastors to do this exact same video. Just give us your honest thoughts. And first, Justin Corrales from Crossroads Church in Corona. I would love to hear your thoughts. Second, Aaron Magnuson, my boy from One and All. Bro, I would love to hear you talk about online. Third and final is the GOAT, Nils Smith. Nils, would you let us know what your predictions are for the future of online church? And also, would you just give us an insight to social media? How is social media going to be changed, or how can churches adopt that for the future? Guys, thank you so much. If you watched all the way till the end, you can hit me up in the comments with any questions or comments that you have, or you can also tag your online pastor if you want him to do this exact kind of video. Just drop his name or tag this or send it to him, however you want to do that. And until we chat again, I hope you tell the world a great story. Peace.